Hi, everybody. It's a long time since I've done a sit down video instead of a live stream, and we're going to get back into those. Excuse me. Um, so today is Rare Disease Awareness Day. That's a little bit of a mouthful, but I thought I would do a little bit of a video and a little bit of history for you guys because what I have is categorized as a rare disease, even though it's kind of becoming, I think, more common. But either way, it's still a rare disease. So I have, and the thing that started everything for me health wise, um, except the asthma. But the thing that I have is called familial adenomatous polyposis, or as we call it, FAP. Because familial adenomatous polyposis is a mouthful to say all the time. So back in 2005, well, let's start before that. I was diagnosed at I think 14 or 15. We had genetic testing done, and my dad had his test done, and he was the pioneer in our family for it. With him getting his test done and getting all of us genetically tested, he was able to give that information to the family, and they were all able to get genetically tested and all their children as well. Now, with FAP, before genetic testing, you had to have a scope every 5 years. If you had no polyps, you could continue with your five-year schedule. But if you had polyps, you then went every year to 6 months to a year for scopes. And then they eventually would do surgery. When I was a kid and genetic testing became a thing, we genetically tested my dad's 4 biological children. 2 of us have it, and 2 of us do not. And it's really kind of funny. The 2 that have it are actually the 2 that either looked like him the most or acted like him the most. But that's beside the point. So, my journey was not a fun journey, as with many people with this disease, and I think I have it pretty good now. I just think the road to being well, I'm so yawny today. The road to getting me healthy was not a good road. Anyway, so FAP stands for familial adenomatous polyposis. And what that basically means is I have a gene that is missing. It is a deleted gene type of disease. And I am missing the gene that most people have that tells their colon not to grow polyps. So I am completely missing that gene. And so polyp growth starts sometimes very, very young. Other times it starts later on. And we have to, when you have FAP, you have to have your colon removed. Because you will eventually, usually by the age of 30 or so, you will have cancer in the colon. Because these polyps all turn cancerous eventually. Not all, most. And so when I was 18, almost 19, we decided to I just got up a little bit ago, so I'm so, but we decided to preemptively remove my colon. And we opted for the doctor that we saw did he had a scale of what he would do for what surgery. There's 2 different types of surgery you can do. You can do a partial colectomy, or you can do a total colectomy with a J pouch. And his criteria was there has to be a certain amount of polyps in the rectum itself for him to do the J pouch. So I didn't have that many in my rectum, so he did the partial colectomy. Which means they take out all but a couple inches of your colon. They leave only the bottom part, the rectum. And then they reconnect it back to the small intestine at that point. And that's the surgery I had. And surgery went well that day. but I got a massive infection because the part where you connect the two intestines together had burst open. And I got a massive life-threatening infection, and that infection kind of damaged a lot of things. According to the doctor that did the next surgery, I had about I had a gallon of pus in my abdomen, and they had to go in and open me up and clean it all out, and they ended up having to do a temporary ileostomy. And those of you who do not know, an ileostomy is basically where they take your small intestine and they make an opening in your belly, and they take the intestine and stick it outside of the belly. And it like sticks out a little bit, and then they flip it back over itself, and they stitch it down. So I had to have a temporary ileostomy. And I was on death's door, guys. When the doctor did take me to surgery, he said, she's 12 hours from being completely dead. She is going into shock. She is going to die. So he rushed me to the hospital, or to the OR, to do this surgery at 3:00 in the morning. Most people do really well. My dad had the same type of surgery that I had, and he did well until he was about, I want to say like 50 years old or so, right around there. And at that point, his colon had so much scar tissue from them taking off the polyps and everything that they were having a hard time visualizing in general what was going on in there. So my doctor did his J-pouch surgery as well. And my younger sister is an interesting case. My younger sister has a J-pouch, but she didn't have enough length of intestine to make it to all the way down to the anus. So she has about this much of her colon left, but she also has a J-pouch. So, and maybe down the road when maybe down the road she'll be able to somehow get that fixed, and I don't know. But so she still has to go every year for her scopes to make sure that she doesn't have bad polyp growth in there. And thankfully my sister had fairly slow growing polyps. So, but that can change, I had a little bit faster growing, and my dad had even faster growing. But anyway, so because of that surgery, I then had another 9 surgeries. Yeah, 9 surgeries after that to basically fix the damage that the infection did with me. And those are surgeries, 8 surgeries actually, are the ones that made me incontinent. The nerves just died in my body. My bowel has issues. My muscles in my bowel are very, very weak, making it very, 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 very hard to control my bowels. So, yeah. And that's kind of how my life happened and how I became incontinent. Now, with my genetic disease, it's a very prolific disease. In our case, and in most cases, it has a very long family history. However, there's a bunch of people, and one person I met and was friends with, because she has the same disease and we were in the hospital together, and her family doesn't know of any FAP in the family. So it's very interesting how it comes about. So her mother was the first one with FAP in their family, so as far as they know, which is pretty interesting. Along with FAP can come other things. I have what is called Garner's syndrome. Garner's syndrome is basically an offshoot of FAP that causes not just polyp growth, but it causes other growths around your body. Things called osteomas, which is like a bone growth, cysts, it causes lipomas, and it also causes actual tumors. I have had several lipomas before. We called them FAP bumps at first. I had one in each wrist. It was just a little one, and they thought it was a cyst, but no, it was a bump from FAP. And my father had one on his back, a big one, And I have one in my stomach, apparently. Or so they think. 1 second, my computer is distracting me. There we go. So, but also with the Gardner syndrome. Well, I mean, FAP can cause that in general. The way you know you have Gardner syndrome is because you will grow these tumors. And I have a tumor inside of my abdomen that we basically do not touch. And I haven't actually had anyone really, because I haven't had surgery in so long, we don't know how it's doing. Desmoid tumors are non-cancerous. So generally, doing chemo and things might shrink it, but it's not cancer, so it's not going to do much to it, actually. My tumor was very tiny when they found it, and it's very slow growing. So we leave it alone. With desmoid tumors, the minute you touch them, if you remove the tumor or anything like that, it's going to just cause it to go poof. My grandmother actually passed away because she had an 18-pound desmoid tumor in her abdomen. And in that day and age, they couldn't really remove it properly. This was a long time ago. So with desmoids, also, the more you do surgery, the more likely you are to get desmoid tumors. So that's kind of why we aren't rushing into this ovary surgery at all. We're taking it as seriously as possible. We don't rush into surgeries. Now, I have had surgery on my leg. I had a cyst removed on my leg and stuff like that. So that type of thing is fine. It's the inside the abdomen that's the problem with surgery. So yeah. And I think that's the only rare disease I actually have. I have a lot of different health issues that we haven't diagnosed yet. And hopefully soon we're going to be able to diagnose them because we really got to start treating this and figuring things out. And we have possibly one key that might be interesting. So, but anyway, thank you guys so much for the support that you have given me. Those of you who have been in my live streams, thank you so much. I am still doing live streams, guys. Don't worry. But I might be changing it up a little bit on where I do it and things like that. I'm not sure yet. I think that me streaming every day on YouTube is kind of affecting my numbers a little bit. And I want to be able to, get back into the swing of things with videos and make sure that they do well. Anyway, that's beside the point. Thank you guys so much for all your support, your love, your kindness. You guys have been awesome, and I so appreciate you all. And I will be doing more actual videos here in the near future. I've actually gone through my old ones and made a list of things that I need to update and things like that. So be on the lookout for some new videos. But I thought I would just really quick, this one is not planned or anything like that. But I thought I would just really quick do a video for Rare Disease Day. Let me know in the comments down below if you all have a rare disease and what that rare disease is. So I'm interested to see. But I will see you all later, and you have an awesome day. Bye-bye.